Today in the show, it's time for another episode of the Lezhin recap. Like always, we'll be starting with Dark Haven. So when this starts out, we actually get to find out more about Simon's backstory. Turns out his stepmother is super abusive towards him. She always favors his younger brother. It's not made explicit whether this is a half brother or just a stepbrother or what the situation is there. All we know is that that is Simon's brother. This backstory goes on until we see Simon getting a phone call from Connor's mother telling him to go to the hospital. At the hospital, Connor's mother is just now finding out all the bullying and racism Connor has gone through for his entire life. She's naturally doing the whole mother thing of, why didn't you tell me? We could have done something about it. But Connor's just kind of like going along with things, knowing that his mother wouldn't have been able to do anything. Until Simon turns up, Connor's parents leave. Simon begins to cry because he feels terrible about what happened to his friend. And then he sees the blood-stained envelope with the money in it, and Simon begins to cry even more. And Connor's just kind of been put on the spot here. He wants to do something to calm his friend down, so he just kind of like acts on impulse and leans in and kisses his friend, realizes what he did, tries to like get out of it by making an excuse, but then Simon leans in and kisses him. It's then revealed that the leader of the bullies that did this to Connor was actually put into a youth detention center, and all the other bullies were either expelled or just had to move towns completely. In terms of formalities, the two boys didn't really advance their relationship. Like, they occasionally kissed, but they just basically kept doing everything they'd been doing all along. They weren't really sure whether they were boyfriends, like nothing was made explicit. Skipping ahead to 15 years in the future, we see a man beating up one of the gang members with a crowbar, trying to interrogate him to find out Pete's location. Pete being the leader of the bullies that was put in the detention center. When it's revealed that the gang member really just doesn't know anything, the man just kills the gang member. After the police turn up, to cut a long story short, it's looking like these police are just basically super corrupt and you just can't trust them. And then we cut to a scene where we find out that Simon should be performing at a beer festival. Now, everyone else on his management team thinks that this will be a really bad move on his part, but his head manager thinks that this is the best move he can make for some reason. Simon agrees to do it on one condition. He gets to decide his stage layout and his band, and he obviously asks Dark Haven to play with him. They basically say, hey, we'll come along to the festival, but we're not playing. And it's here when he talks to the other members of Dark Haven that he finds out that Connor has been seeing someone. After this, Simon takes a dangerous amount of drugs and alcohol and sleeps with Kiev, Connor's cousin. Kind of dark move there. Mona actually gives Connor a ticket to go and see Simon, and Connor goes to the festival without any intention of seeing Simon. We're also shown a frame of a big beer barrel that looks like it should be dropping confetti out, but instead there's a dark liquid in there. At the festival, Mona quickly runs into Connor, and things are awkward to say the least. Mona's basically stuck in the middle of Connor and Simon because she was happy for those two boys when they started going out, and she obviously knows Connor is gay. And Veronica, Connor's girlfriend, is a little bit in denial, and as a result she can't really get close to Veronica because she just doesn't like her. Also, Connor's not entirely sure if he wants to be there himself. Like, he wants to see Simon, but he also doesn't know that he wants to see Simon's reaction to seeing him. Like, how would you react where you haven't seen your ex in 6 months? Two of you didn't exactly leave on the best of terms, you both miss each other, and now your ex is back in the closet dating a girl. But then Connor's trying to justify things in his mind by telling himself, no, it's not okay to be gay because a relationship where you can't even hold hands in public isn't a real relationship, which is like total BS. Everyone knows it. Simon's performance is about to start. Mona has gone away by this point, and who should Connor run into but Kiev? And this is not a happy family reunion. Turns out, all through Kiev's life, he was not treated well by Connor's father. In fact, Connor's father treated Kiev like a second-class citizen. Connor's mother, however, treated both boys like they were brothers. Connor, through his whole life, didn't even realize Kiev wasn't his brother until he was in his late teens. The two boys begin to talk. Kiev really wants Connor to like just listen to him, so Connor will make amends with Simon, but then Connor's basically a bit of a dick, and Kiev just lets it drop that he slept with Simon. And also that Simon has been doing sexual favors for old men. Connor, of course, doesn't believe this part about the old men, but then after affirming it's true, Connor punches Kiev and shouts at him and tells him that it's his job to be protecting the singer, which is true. Speaking of the singer, Simon's performance was going really well, people were really into it. When it came time for the confetti barrel to be dropped on the stage, a dog appears on the stage, which Simon is obviously really shocked about, and then from the barrel drops a dead body. And that's where we're going to be ending the Dark Heaven recap for this week, so make sure you tune into the next episode if you want to find out what happens, or go to Lezhin to read ahead. And now on to All About Lust. So when we last left Sujin, he was put on the spot because his friends realized he was in the same motel as all of his other friends, and they want to know, hey, how come you didn't come say hi to us? What were you doing with Gion? And he manages to brush the whole thing aside by saying, the two of us were just hanging out. And people buy that. People actually buy that. Then skipping ahead a little bit, that night after hanging out with some friends, Gion and Sujin decide to get a room together once again. The two boys talk for a bit, then they have sexy sex. And then after a bit more talking, they have a bit more sexy sex. The next day, Gion is talking to Jungmin about how happy he is, and she says, you know what, I'm a little bit jealous of you because I found it so hard to be passionate about things recently. So the two decide to go and see a movie. On their way out, they run into Sujin next to another mysterious stranger. The two of them say hi, but then go off to see the movie, and it turns out this stranger is actually Sujin's old friend, the person that he's constantly talking on the phone to. After Jungmin and Gion are done with their movie, they go for dinner, and Sujin actually joins them, and they're all having a good time, but Sujin's mind just keeps wandering to a time when he was crying talking to his friend. So Jungmin goes off in her own direction after a little while. The two boys get a room together again, but then they have sexy sex, and then they decide to talk about their pasts. And that's where we're going to end All About Lust this week. It was actually all about lust this week. Now on to Dolphin Fairy. This basically picks up exactly where it left off. Turns out Sashimi Restaurant Lady was just outside of Changyong's house. He basically tells her to go away and the two boys go back to sleep. Well, Mokwa doesn't actually sleep. He can't. He's basically paranoid. The two boys' relationship seems to be going okay. There's something just a little bit off about it, but people that are also in the class have picked up on this relationship. But then that night, Rino is standing guard for Changyong at the pool for some reason, and Changyong gets out the pool and he's naked, and this isn't exactly properly explained other than Rino's pissed off that he feels used by Changyong, so he goes away. That night Changyong turns up at Mokwa's place. He tries forcing himself on Mokwa, and Mokwa pushes him off and says, no, you smell like fish, I can't deal with this. And then Changyong punches him and storms off. A solid week passes before the two of them talk again. Mokwa gets drunk, goes to the pool to confront Changyong. When he goes inside, he sees Changyong get into the pool and turn into a dolphin, and Mokwa's like panicking because he's not entirely sure if he's drunk anymore because he thought he'd sobered up by this point, so he knows he saw what he just saw. He's so shocked he can't move until Changyong eventually comes out of the pool and looks down at him, and the two of them go back to Changyong's place. This whole situation of anxiety and panic goes on in Mokwa's mind for quite a few days until Changyong invites him to the pool for some extra lessons one time. Mokwa goes, and there Changyong turns into a dolphin again, openly in front of Mokwa's eyes. And that's where we're going to be ending Dolphin Fairy for now. So we have a strange mix this week. Dark Haven is definitely the strongest in terms of storytelling. The three of them are great in terms of story, but Dark Heaven's like at the top. Now in terms of emotions, Dolphin Fairy started out championing emotions, but now I kind of feel like All About Lust is sort of beginning to champion emotions a little bit more, which really excites me. And then Dolphin Fairy is getting very cute, it's going along at its own pace, and I kind of appreciate that. We aren't covering as much of Dolphin Fairy as we have the other two, so that might be a reason why it seems a little bit slower paced. And now onto the giveaway. So if you want to enter the giveaway so you can earn some coins to spend on Lezhin, what you have to do is leave a comment down below letting me know which one of these is your favorite so far. You also have to thumbs up this video, be subscribed to this channel. You need to go have an account on Lezhin's website, and you also need to be following Lezhin on Twitter. If you do all of those things, I'll be contacting you personally if you have won, and I'll be giving you a code so you can redeem that code for some points. It's super effective! Okay guys, that is it for today, so make sure to enter the giveaway. Also don't forget to thumbs up, subscribe, do all of my social links, and I will see you next time. And also, thank you to all of my patrons, because my patrons are super sexy.